Hello and welcome to this wonderful weekend on the Alice Ops channel. I had a request to introduce our cat to you, and I thought I would start with that for this Thanksgiving haul video. It's Thanksgiving here in Canada, and I feel I have a lot to be thankful for, so I thought I would share some of that with you. Of course, our cat. We are thankful for our cat. His name is Bijou, which is French for jewel. We did not name him. We adopted him, and he already had that name, and he seems to respond to it, so I think he likes it. We kept it. He wears an earring. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but he, already had the earring when we got him, and this is why the person named him Bijou. I don't know. Anyways, we just thought, this is Kim, lock, stock, and barrel, and he's a very affectionate guy. He gives us lots of joy, and he is fun, and he is part Maine Coon, and we love his personality, and we're really happy he's in our life. And he's also very meditative. Like right now, I think he's thinking deep thoughts. So I'm glad to have been able to introduce him to you, and once in a while we'll check in on him in further videos, and maybe you'll see him play with his stuffed mouse or something. Not a real mouse. You know what I mean. And so on this wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, I thought we would talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. You want to go on the floor probably now, huh? Yes. Quiet cat, though, no fuss. Thanksgiving made me think of jewelry, of lots of other things, but jewelry, and I thought I would just bring up one thing. When I was a child, there was a relative of the family, my mom's cousin's wife. Her name was Janine. And Janine was married to Jean-Paul. And this was not someone I knew very well. We didn't see them very often, maybe a couple times a year at family things like Christmas or, that sort of thing. Not someone I spent time with. They would visit my grandfather. Sometimes we would cross them when we would go visit my grandfather, and so not someone who by all means had a lot of place in my life, but at the same time who influenced my life. And I just thought it was an interesting reflection to think sometimes you can bring something to someone's life that is important, even if it's a little thing, even if you haven't been there with them the whole way. This was a lady who sometimes gave me jewelry when I was a child. Jewelry she didn't wear anymore, and she just thought, maybe she'll want to just have fun with that and play pretend, and that's exactly what I did. And one time, I remember Janine brought over this casket filled with jewelry. Can you imagine for a 7-year-old girl? This, first of all, I loved this tin, which probably held caramels or chocolates. It was just like a princess tin. And I loved the tin itself, and it was filled with jewelry. And unfortunately, now I don't have a lot of that jewelry still, but I did keep some pieces. I would have kept more, but we were robbed years ago at my parents, and they took some of that jewelry. But, what keeps playing in my mind is how much this person really brought something to my life. Just by this simple thing, to give a little girl jewelry so she could play with it. this is a necklace that she gave me. It's been restrung very loosely. Obviously, it came apart at some point and someone just restrung it like that. But this was perfect play jewelry. But what I really want to say about this necklace is that it's glass, and we're probably talking about 20s, 30s, maybe a little earlier. It's all faceted. Gorgeous, gorgeous, huge pieces of glass with little tiny aqua beads in between. And I think being surrounded with this kind of jewelry, being given that jewelry to start exploring, enhanced my desire to find out about vintage things. To be interested. This was another piece, and I believe came from her as well, or just right around that time. Pieces that made me familiar with vintage beauty and helped me to discover that and discover a love for that. I'd much rather pieces like that when I was a kid than, you know, I don't know, something for kids. And it made me appreciate a style of jewelry that, you know, maybe I wouldn't have known otherwise. So I'm just saying, sometimes we think, you know, we teach a child a song. We share a recipe with a friend. Something very simple like that. And we think, you know, oh, in my day, in my year, in my life, I'm not doing anything important. I'm not an important person. And I think that kind of experience taught me that, yes, it's all important. All of those things you do, they're important. It is really, it was a realm, a treasure trove that she brought me, that's still with me today, that still influences me in my search, in my quest for beautiful vintage things. And next, I thought I would just share with you pieces of jewelry I've picked up over the past year. Some of it, well, all of it, I think, is not listed yet. And I'm going to show you the next thing. We have this brooch, which is really pot metal, but I loved the shape, the very intricate ribbon pattern, and thought someone might want that. I have a rhinestone necklace in a floral pattern. Sorry about that. It's a bit, you'll see what I mean. Which is from the 60s, I would say, and was $1. I believe I picked that up for about $1, which is not the most brilliant example of anything, but I think that, you know, it's still, they're fun pieces for people to enjoy, not too expensive. I have another rhinestone necklace that I picked up at a garage sale. It's got these beads that are more like milk glass. Again, that's from the 60s, could be late 50s. Sometimes I find that hard to distinguish. You know, I think there's one stone missing. In my experience, it's never been a big deal. People will be just as interested. So yes, again, that was $1. It's not something that would make more than probably $20, I think, but sometimes a little more, a little less. It's a very pleasant thing to pick up and see how people will enjoy. I have these earrings that are crystal, or should I say perhaps glass. But they have this wonderful Aurora Borealis sheen to them. And they're large. Pieces like that sometimes are not as popular nowadays, but again, when it's 50 cents or $1, I don't mind picking up a few pieces like that, maybe lotting them up. I just think it's such a beautiful quality, and it really recalls another day, and I can picture someone with their smart evening pocketbook and their sheath dress in shantung silk, you know, making their way to the theater with their date. It's, you know, glamorous Barbie clothes come to mind and all of that. And for that world to open up before your eyes, it's great to collect these type of things. Now something completely different is these earrings. That are, well, they're meant to be worn like this, according to the clip. And they're all these mirrored crystal-y bits. Yeah, they're so from the 80s to me. That just really looks like the outrageous designs of some of the 80s pieces. You have glass bits. I think it's a wonderful, outrageous design. Beautiful colors. I think that can be very glamorous and hugely fun. And that was something else that was about $1.50. So I'm going to list that with other 80s stuff, maybe, or by themselves, but you know, in that spirit of I think there are some people who are really into 80s jewelry right now. It seems like that's the case. I've sold some pieces for okay money, you know. That's another piece of 80s beauty that I find just so charming, because again, very 80s. I think that design with all these sparkles and clear plastic, I think, was used in the 80s to make things fun. I'll be curious to see how that does. It's not by anybody in particular. It would have been $1 as well. Aurora Borealis and a huge faux pearl from the 60s. All of this jewelry I would have picked up for about $1 or less. And, you know, just a nice large piece, long piece anyways. So I think somebody will enjoy that as well. I do want to get to this, which I picked up at a garage sale. Just liked the beadwork there. It's a bracelet with a piece of Velcro at the end. It's obviously not something of incredible quality, but I think somebody could really go for that. It's just got a nice design. A lot of work went into that, and I think there's a market for that as well. The next piece is an example of something I would pick up, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I just think that is intricate, interesting. It looks Asian. Hard to tell if it's some sort of grade of silver, but I just think that it has a distinctive exotic look that if you're looking for that, you can't just go anywhere and pick that up. So someone might be very happy to encounter this. The backing is all fabric. Interesting. I think that was $2 or $3. Here is something, I have just a few pieces left to show you. for this time. Here is something that I picked up, I think it was 2 years ago. And I was still playing with how to sell jewelry, and I was almost scared to list it for the wrong price or not describe it well or something like that. So it's going to go up very soon. It's a lovely Art Deco pendant, faceted glass pendant. It's got a few marcasites in the setting. I think maybe the setting is silver, but of course would be Art Deco because of that geometrical pattern, that very new, fresh, modern look for those days. I love how it catches the light. I think it's a very fetching color as well. You know, can make me think of cocktails in the 20s, beautiful, clean lined cocktail shakers with gorgeous martini glasses, and wearing that to an evening where you would serve such cocktails. And I have something else that I picked up very recently. I paid a bit more for that, but I liked it and wanted to try it. Whoops, if I don't break it apart. Was this set of brooch and earrings. It's glass. The earrings are marked Western Germany. So I am thinking it could be anywhere from the 60s to the 80s. The quality of the rhinestone, the quality of the rhinestones makes me think that perhaps it's not that old. It looks maybe not of as good quality, but anyways, it's a nice set. I love the color. It looks opulent. It also reminds me of shows like Dynasty and all of that. I'm thinking, you know, there's a certain style to that. If you're in that mood, you want to wear that. It's power and opulence. And nice that it's marked Western Germany, and nice that it's European. It lends a certain quality to it. Then we have this brooch, which I think is fabulous. So the set of jewelry was $5 and this brooch was $5. But I thought, nah, you know, brooch like that, I've sold something like that before, which maybe went for about $15 or $20. I'd like to see a bit more. I find that the stones are super high quality. Aurora Borealis, of course, particularly beautiful, deep colors. And even the backing, everything is very detailed and of high quality. So I think it's quite beautiful. And that's it for now. It was great to share some of this with you. I hope that you are having fun ramping up for the holidays, in Thanksgiving, in beauty, and I hope you're finding lots of fun stuff to sell. So hopefully we will talk again soon. You have a great time picking.